Hi everyone, I'm Miss Chabora, and today I'm going to be reading chapters 16 through 20 of Shine. Okay, so we're going to start on page 57, chapter 16, called Ainsley the Painsley. Ainsley's with her constant three-girl posse. They're taping up election posters. Apparently, Ainsley is running for 7th grade class president. Her slogan? Don't be a Painsley, vote for Ainsley. A very tall kid is with her. He's ripping off masking tape with his teeth. I figure he might be an athlete. Uh-oh, Carter, Ainsley says to the boy. Check it. New nerd alert. She points at me. That dork cuts her hair with hedge clippers. Carter laughs, very loudly. Ainsley sashays away, saying, her father is going to ruin the a cappella group. That's why I quit. Her friends follow after her. The way the people who work for a queen do. That was fast, says Kwame when they're gone. Ainsley's got a thing for you already? Yeah. Huh, took her a whole year to hate me. Well, I say, maybe because I'm a dork and a nerd. Nah, says Kwame. You and me, we're a hibbleflits. Tim giggles. What's a hibbleflit, I ask. Oh, they're amazing, says Kwame. What do? All sorts of amazing stuff. Can I be a hibbleflit too? Asks Tim. Definitely, Tim Dinny, says Kwame, throwing open his arms. We're all hibbleflits. Excellent, says Siraj. Hibbleflits unite, adds Emily, raising a clenched fist. Cool, says Kwame. Now all we need is a secret handshake. I spend the rest of the day lying low and avoiding Ainsley. I sneak a look at a text Hannah sent me. Are the lockers solid gold? Does everybody get 14 forks in the cafeteria? Don't you wish you'd bought that Gucci bag? After school, I head over to the Performing Arts Center. Dad tells me he had a good day. A couple of kids quit the a cappella group, he says, but that's to be expected. One girl needs to focus more on her cello lessons. I nod, and don't let on that I know that girl and what a Painsley she is. I look around the room while I wait for Dad to pack up his briefcase. I see the Steinway grand piano with its lid propped open. Dad's classroom has chalkboards with rows of 5 horizontal white lines painted across the black. They're staves for dreaming up musical scores. Dad has already filled a few in. Come on, Dad says when he's ready to go. I want to show you something. We head out the door and down the hall. I know where we're heading. Mom's second plaque. It's attached to a framed photo of Mom posing with her cello that I haven't ever seen before. She was just a little older here than you are right now. What's the Traub Scholarship? I ask, reading the inscription. Dad grins. It's paid for her to study music at the University of Michigan. That's where you guys met? Yep. I don't know anybody in the Traub family, but I love them all. He rubs my hair. They gave me the 2 greatest gifts of my life. We both stand there and admire Mom's picture and her accomplishments. Wow. When we get home, I take Mr. Pugsley for a walk. Mom's left me some pretty big shoes to fill, I tell him, and there's no dried poop stuck in the soles either. Mr. Pugsley gives me a snuffly snort. He so understands. Later, I call Hannah with a quick update on life on the distant planet called Chumley Prep. Did anybody offer you a ride on their private jet, she asks. Not yet. Well, when they do, don't forget I've always wanted to visit Paris in the spring. That makes me laugh. That night, I make the first entry for my Who Do You Want to Be project. I figure I have all term to work on it so I can do what Mr. Van Dusen suggested. Write down whatever, then go back and type it up and tighten it up before I turn it in. Who do I want to be? My mom, Antoinette Palisi Millie, of course. That might be impossible. First, you can't really be your own mother. It's a biology thing. Second, my mother was super talented and all around amazing. I am neither of those things. They say you can't miss what you never had. But guess what? I do. Chapter 17. Some assembly required. A week later, I'm starting to know my way around. I feel a little like Nellie du Montfort, soaring in a rocket ship, boldly exploring the vast unknown voids of a new galaxy. Of course, I'd rather do it with her on PBS or YouTube than in real life. On Sunday, I streamed the Nelly Dumont Frise episode where she answers questions kids have sent in. One of the things I love most is how, even though she's brilliant, she isn't all snooty about it. She'll answer regular questions from regular kids. Question, she says, reading from an email. Do you fart more or less in space? She smiles. More, because it's impossible to burp when you're weightless. The gas, liquid, and solids in your stomach all mix together. And no, Jimmy, farting won't propel you around the space station like when you let go of a balloon. We've all tried it. The flight suits are too thick. The propulsion gets muffled in all that padding. After a few more questions and answers, she winks at the camera and says her catchphrase, "Shine on, stargazers." At school, I sit with the Hibbleflits, Shiraj, Emily, Kwame, and Tim, for lunch. Yes, we've proudly embraced them, the name. Siraj thinks we need an official crest. Like one of the houses at Hogwarts, he says. Tim brings a new magic trick almost every day. Kwame brings several new jokes. He also makes some funny cracks about Tim's tricks. We all help each other with homework. And despite what Hannah keeps telling me, no one has flown a private jet to school, with or without a chef on board. Not yet, anyway. But Ainsley Braden Hammerschmidt is still telling everybody that Dad is turning the a cappella group into the ACapella group. She pretends to puke when she says it. Mrs. Zamek is still giving me the stink eye every morning in homeroom. There will be no first period classes this morning, she announces on Monday. Siraj and I both groan. We love first period. That's science with Miss Oliviero. Are you two finished? Mrs. Zamek heard us groaning. Yes, ma'am, says Siraj. When the bell rings, you are to quickly and quietly report to the Hammerschmidt Auditorium for an assembly with Dr. Throckmorton. And in case any of you have forgotten, which I am certain none of you have, elections for 7th grade class president will be in all homes first thing tomorrow. The bell rings and we file out the door. What's this about? I ask Siraj. Hard to say. All school assemblies are extremely rare. We find our seats in the auditorium, which is pretty incredible, way better than the cafetorium at my old middle school. Emily is already seated in the row in front of ours. You guys, in homeroom, Mr. Van Dusen told us this is going to be about some kind of new award. I ease into my seat. I can relax. I never win awards, except the ones they give out for perfect attendance. I see Ainsley sitting smugly in the front row. Ainsley Braden Hammerschmidt. Finally, it hits me. This is the Hammerschmidt Auditorium. Duh. That's Ainsley's last name. Somebody in her family must have donated a ton of money to Chumley Prep. If she wants to have the school fire Dad, she or somebody in her extremely wealthy family can probably do it. Dad comes in a side entrance with some other teachers. He waves at me. I want to warn him about Ainsley, but instead, I just wave back. Mr. Van Dusen is the last teacher to enter. He has a thick book tucked under his arm and is juggling another cup of coffee and what might be a bagel. When everybody is finally settled, a balding man with a fringe of white hair comes on stage to stand behind a podium. He must be Dr. Throckmorton. He looks so serious behind his round horn-rimmed glasses, a snowy owl in a tweed suit. Good morning, boys and girls, he says with a very proper, almost British accent. Good morning, Dr. Throckmorton, says the whole auditorium, except me. I don't catch on to the call and response until it's already hit Throckmorton. I have some very exciting news, he continues, sounding anything but exciting. This winter term, we will be conducting a competition for a new middle school award, the Excelsior. This prize will be presented by a representative of the Chumley family on March 15th to the student who most fully demonstrates the overall excellence we strive for here at Chumley Prep. Ainsley shoots up her hand to ask a question. Yes, Miss Braden Hammerschmidt, says Dr. Throckmorton. How exactly do we win? An excellent question. Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, the Chumley family was not very specific. In fact, they were extremely mysterious about the details. Therefore, my advice, to win the Excelsior, simply excel. Remember our motto, be your best, no matter the endeavor. Kwame raises his hand. Yes, Mr. Walker? So when does this new competition start? Tomorrow. Oh, good. I wasn't really excelling so far today. Everyone laughs. Dr. Throckmorton sniffs and pulls out a sheet of paper. Here's what the Chumley family has communicated to me thus far about how the contest will work. Judges, whose identities will not be disclosed, will be observing your performance for the next several weeks. These undercover judges will decide who wins the Excelsior, which will be awarded at another all-school assembly on March 15th. The winner's name shall be enshrined for all time on a plaque in our Chumley Hall of Champions. Now, everyone applauds. I start thinking, if I won the Excelsior Award, I could have a plaque right next to one of Mom's. The idea makes me laugh a little. Ha! Like that's ever going to happen. Unless, of course, Excelsior means perfect attendance. Chapter 18, Excelsior. Excelsior, cries Mr. Van Dusen at the start of English class. It's not just a new prize, it's also a short poem written in 1841 by the great American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. What does it mean, I asked, hoping it really is Latin for perfect attendance, or Hibbleflit. Ever upward. Block the negative, make way for the positive. Aim higher and higher. Mine honor is my life, both grow in one. Take honor from me, and my life is done. Everybody just stares at him. I have no idea what he's talking about. Neither does anyone else. That's from Shakespeare's Richard II, which of course you will never ever read unless you go to college and study English Lit, as I hope some of you will do. Oh, let my books be then the eloquence and dumb presages of my speaking breast. Tim giggles. You said breast. Only because Shakespeare said it first. Moving on. How are you dauntless scribes doing on your special assignment? The Quo Quid Vis Fieri project. That's Latin, right? Says Kwame, because it sounds like something you'd read on a coin. Exactly, says Mr. Van Dusen. Sid vis vobiscum, sir. And may the force also be with you, Kwame. Where was I? Ah, yes. Quo quid vis fieri. Whom do you wish to become? I'm finished with my essay, says Tim. Already? Says Mr. Van Dusen. I'm sorry, that was an accident. I didn't mean to say it out loud. Please forget I did. Your wish is my command, oh great Tim Deany. One of the girls in the front row raises her hand. Yes, Felicity? Where's Ainsley? Ah, parting is such sweet sorrow. She transferred to Mrs. Garrett's class. Excelsior, shouts Tim. Most of the class laughs. Well, everybody except Felicity. I don't think much more about the Excelsior Award until I get to math class at the end of the day. It's all Siraj and Emily want to talk about. We can totally win it, says Siraj. The parameters of the award are wide open. Excellence is the only criterion. Agreed, says Emily. A Hibbleflit can, finally, beat Carter the jock and Ainsley the princess. Siraj raises his fist. Hibbleflits rule! After math, I head over to the Performing Arts Center to see if Dad is ready to go home. He isn't because he's rehearsing with his new a cappella group. They sound amazing doing Lean on Me with a finger-snapping do-ah-do intro. A girl steps forward to belt out the high notes. Lean on me. It's that girl from the Winter Song Off, the one who tried to stand up to Ainsley. Excellent, Brooke, Dad says after her big finish. That was incredible. Kwame, we're glad you signed up. We needed someone to handle the low notes. I'm all about that bass, Mr. Millie, says Kwame. The rest of you were amazing too, Dad tells his students. We should put Lean on Me into our spring concert. Mr. Millie, says Brooke, raising her hand. Yes, Brooke. We usually do a completely classical program for the spring concert. Come on, Brooke, says Kwame. Nobody likes classical music except Mozart's mother. I know, but, well, according to my father anyway, we're expected to learn the classical repertoire here at Chumley. Tell you what, says Dad, we can sing both, pop hits and classics. We'll shake things up a little. Okay? See you guys on Thursday. Oh, Thursday. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Kwame sings in a rumbling bass line that keeps going lower and lower and lower. Everybody starts packing up their book bags, and heading out the door. I help Dad gather up sheet music. Brooke's voice is pretty fantastic, huh, he says when everyone else is out of the room. Yeah, They tell me she also lands all the lead roles in the school musicals. In other words, Brooke is extremely talented. Which gives me my second journal entry for Mr. Van Dusen. Who do I want to be? Well, if I can't be my mom, maybe I could be Brooke. I don't know her last name, but the way she sings, it makes Dad smile. My singing just makes him cover his ears. You'd think that with two musically gifted parents, I wouldn't be so tone deaf. Maybe I'm adopted. Maybe Brooke is Mom and Dad's real daughter. Maybe we should switch places. Except then I wouldn't get to walk Mr. Pugsley on a regular basis, and I'd really miss him. Chapter 19, Blast Off. Things are weird the next morning at school. Parents in the drop-off lane are giving their kids motivational speeches. Winning isn't everything, a dad in a trench coat reminds his son. It's the only thing. It seems strange until I remember that this is Excelsior Blast-Off Day. The new contest officially starts this morning. Everyone is fired up and ready to excel. Except me, of course, because there's no way I could ever achieve escape velocity, the speed an object must reach in order to break away from another object's gravitational pull. Even with my own private rocket ship, I could never fly fast enough to pull ahead of all the other stars at Chumley Prep. "Crush it, Ainsley," shouts her mother. Every day in every way, Ainsley plows up the steps looking for someone else to bulldoze with her cello case. She nearly slams into a nanny carrying 3 book bags. In the lobby, I see Tim sitting on the floor next to an empty bench. He's sketching something on a pad while the excited crowd swarms around him. "Hey," I say. "Hey, what are you doodling?" "It's a new trick I'm working up, all about levitation. My parents bought me a chair suspension kit. You want to come see it?" "Sure. How about this weekend?" "Great, I'll ask my dad." Tim nods and gathers up his stuff. We have trouble walking to our lockers because of the frantic mob slapping up campaign posters on an empty piece of wall they can find. On any empty piece of wall they can find. Everyone must think winning today's election will help them win the Excelsior Award, observes Tim. "Vote for me," I hear Ainsley shout, "and maybe Daddy will fly you to Miami with us this weekend on our private jet." We see Siraj. He seems strangely calm. "Let this one go, guys," he advises. "Skip politics. We'll play to our strengths, rack up our Excelsior points in academics, and most especially at the science fair." "Oh, I'm not interested in the Excelsior," I tell him. "Me neither," says Tim. "Excelsior!" screams Carter as he races up the hall, tearing down other people's posters so he can hang up more for Ainsley. "Yo," says Kwame, who's taping up a few signs of his own. "That's called cheating." "No, Kwame," says Carter. "It's called winning Excelsior." Great. The name of the award has become a battle cry. In all the confusion, a kid who looks like a kindergartner toddles around the corner. "I'm lost," she says. And of course, that's when the clanging bell on the wall right next to us starts rattling, which scares the little kid so much she starts sobbing. And we only have 5 minutes to get to homeroom. Chapter 20, Lost in Space. "I need help," the little kid blubbers. Everybody ignores her because they're still busy with their last-minute campaigning. "We can't just leave her here," I say to Tim. "She'll get trampled." "What grade are you in?" I ask the girl. "Kindergarten." "What are you doing way over here?" says Tim. "That's a whole different building." "Do you know how to find her classroom?" I ask Tim. "Kindergarten is over in the Farnsworth building. It's on the other side of the campus. The far side, across the quad." I look around. I don't see a single adult. "Let's go," I say. "What's your name?" I ask the girl. "Abby," she tells me. "Abby Farah. I'm in Mrs. Sullivan's class." "Follow me," Tim tells us. I take Abby's hand, and we head up the crowded hall. As we make our way through the maze of kids, corridors, and staircases, we come across another little kid stranded in a sea of gigantic, frantic 8th graders. He is boo-hooing loudly, wiping his eyes with his knuckles. "Are you lost?" I ask. The boy smiles and nods. "I need help." "What's your name?" "Victor. I'm in kindergarten." "Well, come on, Victor," I say, taking his hand too. "We're headed that way." We leave the middle school building just as the second class change bell rings behind us. That means Tim and I are officially late for homeroom and the elections. We cross the grassy quad, it's like a lawn with sidewalks, and finally deliver the kids to their classroom. "Thank you," says their teacher with a grateful sigh. "Abby and Victor like to go exploring. I'm going to explore space when I grow up, says Abby. That makes me smile. Me too, I tell her. Shine on, Stargazer. She giggles. Tim and I race back to the middle school building. He and Emily have Mr. Van Dusen for homeroom. They're lucky. You're late, Miss Millie, says Mrs. Zamek, as I try to quietly slip into my seat. I'm sorry, I say, but she shows me the palm of her hand to cut me off. We are not interested in excuses, Miss Millie. Our emphasis this term, as you should be aware, is on excellence. But do you think people who excel make excuses when they make mistakes? Of course not. You also missed the elections. I won, says Ainsley, in every 7th grade homeroom. They've already announced it. She gives me an icy smile filled with glossy teeth. Like I said earlier, some people, like the Ainsleys of this world, are meant to shine. In fact, even their teeth sparkle. Me? I'm going to keep on doing my best to blend in. Thanks for reading with me tonight.